Okay, guys, excited, obviously, for a big game here in Chestnut Hill. It's ESPN Game Day. We'll be here, and it's only happened a couple times before, and we'll bring a tremendous focus to our campus, to Boston College, to our program. That's always a great honor and a great opportunity. I expect the atmosphere here will be sensational. We expect a full stadium and a crowd that's in their seats early and creating a great home field advantage, which I'm sure it will be. We're facing an unbelievable challenge, playing the number 2 team in the country, in Clemson. I would honestly, candidly tell you that this may be the best team that I've seen in my career. It's certainly the best team I've seen since I've been at Boston College. They're in the top 5 in almost every statistical category. They're sensational on both sides of the ball. They're explosive. They've got first-rounders all over the field. This is a legitimate, big-time team. Alabama won there too, and that's the elite of college football right now by a long shot. So it'll certainly be a huge challenge for us, but we're looking forward to it and looking forward to the fact that we can play this game right here at home in Chestnut Hill. So I guess with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Steve, can you update us on AJ?
Not really.
Okay.
I saw him yesterday and was bouncing around, a good smile on his face. He's dinged up. It is what it is. That's not going to significantly change one way or the other. The question just becomes how well he can handle that. But I would assume with these kind of injuries, you're not going to feel exactly the way you should feel until you get to a bowl game and have a few weeks. So I think this is ongoing, and certainly a fair question will be does it feel good enough by game time to play on it? And, we'll have to see each day, with that.
Talking about their front four, the strength of your team's your offensive line. Is this even more than most cases a trench game?
It's always a trench game. They're so talented across the board on defense, but certainly it starts up front, and they're as good as I've seen. When I was in the SEC, we were playing against some of these fronts, and this is an outstanding front, but really can run at linebacker, and the back end are extremely aggressive and athletic. There's a reason why they are where they are, and why they're scoring as many points as they're scoring. This is by no means any kind of fluke or anything. This is a very well coached, very well recruited football team. Dabo, I've really watched from afar. I just think he's done a fabulous job of building and recruiting and creating a positive atmosphere, and really done remarkable job with the whole football program. And they've just got it rolling, and they're attracting, and they're the elite players in the country, and you can see it on the field. It's very, very evident. So it's a trench game, and we're going to have to play really well up front, and we're going to have the ability to run the football. We're going to have to be smart, and we're going to have to do a good job of getting hats on hats and moving the front a little bit. Very few people have had the good fortune of being able to do that to them. No one's done it on a consistent basis, that's for sure. I think Brent Venables is one of the finest defensive coordinators in the country, too, on top of it all. They're not only have good players, but he's outstanding and does a great job in putting together their package of pressures and things that really alter, and affect you.
Steve, you talked about Clemson's defensive line, just 32 sacks a season, 6th in rushing defense. For an offense like you guys that are built on play action and running the football, are there any changes you feel like you have to make throughout the week, or are you going to stick with your guns?
Well, as I told our team, I want to make sure we give our kids a chance to go fight and win this football game. So what we're not going to do is try to make this a chess match scheme game and try to think like on either side of the ball we're going to outdo this or outdo that. I want this game to be squarely in the hands of our players. They earned it. They deserve it. We have real good scheme on both sides of our the ball, and I want to play fast and physical, and I want to give our kids a chance to feel confident in what they're doing so they can go toe to toe. And I don't want to start doing things that we haven't done. Now, that doesn't mean that we won't have some wrinkles. That doesn't mean that we won't have some things prepared just like everybody does. We certainly will. We're not going to go into this game and, crawl up into the fetal position here now. That's not going to happen. But that's not who we are anyways right now. So we're not going to do that. We are going to play and go after Clemson with everything we have. We're going to play with great courage and on the attack, and that's a mandate. I mean, we are going to play very aggressive, very hard, and we're going to let it all hang out. Not going to worry about anything, So I think from the top to the bottom of the program, there's going to be one mindset here, and that's going to be the mindset. So, we're certainly not going to hold anything back, and we're going to play as fast and as physical as we can. If anything, I'm going to cut practice down in its duration a little bit, keep it physical, but I want our kids to feel as great as they can feel on Saturday night.
Coach, even though age is a game-time decision, is there some level of comfort in knowing that you've been, running the ball effectively without him this season?
Well, I think guys have stepped up. Yeah, I mean, David Bailey and Benny Glines, and this past week, Travis. These guys have worked real hard, and, they're really good players. And, next man up, we got to roll, and we've prided ourselves here on being kind of a sudden change program for a host of reasons I've mentioned here before. I mean, just starting with the fact that never having an indoor here like we have now, just having to shuffle practice around, and everything's sudden changed us. Our kids are so used to it. We call it Irene. They're so used to that when these things happen, I'm not going to tell you they don't affect you. I mean, you're taking one of the best players in the conference off the field and one of the best running backs in America if that happens. I mean, you don't just fill that void, but that's not going to take away the fact that we have other good players. It's not going to take away the fact that we're going to compete and we're going to scrap and fight for every inch. I mean, that's just not going to change our mindset or our philosophy. It certainly hurts you when you take elite players off the field. I mean, what makes Clemson so good is they have elite players on the field, So, like anybody else, when their quarterback wasn't playing and they've had some issues there, that's hurt them too. The object is to stay as healthy as you can, and hopefully that you have, all hands on deck. But going into week 10, had to calculate that up. Going into week 10, this is about what you get right now. You've been in 9 extremely physical contests, and now here you go into week 10 towards the end of the year. Everybody's got a bunch of, well, maybe not Clemson. I mean, they probably only have to play half of games right now, but we're certainly in fist fights to the very, very end of the game.
Was last year's matchup a confidence booster? I know the score looks a little bit different than the actual game was, but going to the fourth quarter was 7-7. The fact that you went in Death Valley and hung with that Clemson team, is that a motivator?
I think that certainly our kids probably feel like, hey, we went toe to toe with them a year ago, and I mean, they're not going to be intimidated by that. But in the same breath, every year is a new year and a new dynamic. And what happens in these football games when you're playing them at a high level is, sometimes it doesn't take much, and things can tilt positively and negatively. But we have played at times. In my tenure here, we've played Clemson very physical, very tough, and hopefully we can do that again. I mean, obviously we're going to have to play great defense. Their offense is extremely explosive. I mean, they're the most explosive they've been, Quarterback is a great thrower, real confident guy. The running back might be one of the very finest in the country, like ours, and they've got a really good offensive line. They've got elite receivers. So they're very, very explosive, and they're averaging something like 48 points a game or something right around that number. I mean, that's a real number, and I think they average giving up something like 13 points a game. I mean, that's a pretty big swing right there. So, I just think that our kids have the mentality that, we're going to play our level of and our brand of football, which is going to be physical and tough, and we're going to go after them that way. That's not going to change, and then just let it hang out, and let's see where we are.
You mentioned some of the running backs you've relied on when AJ couldn't go. Could you just describe the different looks that they might give a defense and kind of what they provide for you in different styles than AJ?
Yeah, I mean, David is a lot like AJ. He is a physical 250-pound back that brings a lot of force. Benny is kind of that in-between size guy. He's got decent size, decent speed. He's a one-cut guy. Travis, has been outstanding out of the backfield, but as a runner, you saw him on Saturday. I mean, he was very, very explosive and ran very, very physical and hard. He's a hard-nosed guy. So I think David and AJ are more your bigger bruiser type of back. What makes AJ unique is on top of that his top-end speed. And then I think Benny and Travis, are just a little bit different style. So, it gives the defense a little bit different kind of back. I think we need to be able to present each. You're going to need those 2-yard runs that become 4-yard runs. And I think David and AJ do that for us, and that in this game is critically important because you just can't get to 3rd and long against these guys, or you got problems on your hand. So we've got to be able to manage our run game. Has got to manufacture, the 3-4 yard a carry. So if you're running it twice, you're in that. Even if you can get it to 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, it's all very manageable. It's when you get out of whack, and they do a great job of that you got problems. Get yourself into 3rd and 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, they're coming after you, and it's rough duty. So we've got to stay on schedule on early downs with a combination of strong run game and some really good play action. And then, if we have to punt, you got to punt, and you got to play defense, and you got to be patient here, and you can't be foolish. People turn the ball over at a high rate against them, throwing it all over the place. So just have to be careful.
Is there one of these guys who might be better suited against this Clemson defense, or do you think you need all of them?
Well, I would say we need all of them, but certainly one guy you'd like to have ready to go is number 2.
I mean, style-wise, is there?
Yeah, I think it's good to have a combination against them. AJ, God willing, will be healthy, and we can get 30 carries out of him, and the other guys will account for 10 or 15 carries in there, even if it's 25 and 20, 25. I mean, that would be probably a good thing. But we got to stay fresh. We don't want to have someone in there that's tired, because we want to play fast, and hopefully we can get enough first downs where we can keep that going. That would be a great advantage for us if we can do that.
I believe in your tenure you've coached against Taj Boyd, Deshaun Watson, Kelly Bryant. Is this guy in the same mold, or is he a little different?
This guy is going to be a first-round draft pick. This guy is accurate. He's got size. He's got some savvy. This guy's an outstanding player. They've had some outstanding players. We all know that. But this guy is certainly an elite guy on their standards. So I think he's outstanding. There's a reason why he was able to capture him, and people were talking about, how could you put that guy ahead and this and that. And I mean, their staff obviously knew exactly what they were doing. They're playing an elite caliber player. That's not saying that the other guys weren't, because I'm sure they've got depth in there, and they're very talented. But this guy is the real deal.
Coach, with With game day coming to campus, is that something like the rankings where you don't really mention, or do you let the guys kind of enjoy it? Do you use that to inspire them at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is something that, is good for the program, good for the university. And our guys are, they all know it and they're fired up about it. I mean, it's a signal that you're playing in a really significant game in November. I don't think this is one of those games where, you have to play the motivation game or you have to worry about, I think this game will speak for itself. I think the atmosphere, the players going down the home stretch know. I like to think that while we're going to keep our focus on what we need to do to win, I don't think the fact that game day's here and they know that or they talk about that or anything that's going to matter. I think we're going to play a really good football team. We're going to have to play with a lot of energy, a lot of passion, and we're going to have to play at the highest level of execution that we can have. And you know what? There's no pressure on our football team right now. I mean, we go out there and just swing away, and that's what we'll do. And so I want them to enjoy it, enjoy the fact that they're playing in a meaningful, big-time game. That's what they came here for, and they're doing it. So, we know what the challenges are. We've got to have a great week of practice and put them in a great position, but they'll handle all that well.
Steve, this is a more specific question, but Isaiah McDuffie has had 12 or more tackles in 3 of the past 4 games. What have you seen from him just coming along?
Yeah, he is a young player who every week now gets better and better and better. He has a unbelievable motor. We tease him. He's like a bloodhound, man. He's going after, the defenders. I mean, he had 2 finished plays against Virginia Tech where he actually, wasn't quite where he needed to be and reversed the field and ran down the ball carriers, and it's impressive to watch. I mean, he can accelerate. He's physical. He's tough, and with every game, he gets a little bit more experience. He's en route to being an elite player.